Hi everyone, I'm Cody, W3AMG with Bridgecom Systems, and today we are doing a Q&A Ask Me Anything. We'll be going over your Anytone questions or anything ham radio related. So today is all about helping you folks, so if you have questions, definitely stop by, let us know, we'll do our best to answer them, and if not, there's a good possibility someone here has the answer. So we'll be able to get you hooked up with answers one way or another. So thank you all for joining me. We're going to start off taking some questions here shortly. Let's see, who do we have in the house today? We've got, let's see, Roy, KA8BYU, awesome. Johnny, AJ5TX. Garnett, KN4UTR from Florida. Awesome. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we're starting to see some questions roll in. We'll get straight into the questions. A few more folks in the house. John, N1OIG. Awesome. Here we go. Here's a question. So is it usually necessary to modify the transmit and receive offsets in the pistar configuration? From our experience, you really don't have to do a lot of modification in the pistar or even on the radio. For the SkyBridge especially, it's pretty spot on. Other hotspots may be more, prone to need that adjustment. With the SkyBridge, at least, we've never had to adjust that. You just put in your frequency and you're good to go. But it is neat that you can change that on the off chance something happens. You can actually change the offsets on these radios too. So if you ever had one drift, which we have really yet to see, but if you had one drift a little bit over time, you could actually correct that, which is really neat. But awesome, yeah, thanks for the question. Here we go. Here's another question here. Ed asks, how do I turn off the key clicks on my 578? Can I put that on a key to control it? Yeah, great question. So it's quite simple to turn off the beep, basically. I don't know if I have a 578 here, but it's very similar on the radio, the handheld, so I'll show you on that. As for adding it to like a shortcut button to turn it on and off, that may be possible. I've never tried that, but we'll see if it's possible here real quick. Let's take a look here at the radio. Here we go. So we have the radio here. Fire this radio up real quick. Give it a second here. Yeah, awesome. There's Terry. Good morning. KD9UJX. Another person in the house. Awesome. Okay, so once we have our radio here, if you want to turn off that beep, you'll go to menu, and here I can make it even easier for you folks to see this, hopefully. Okay. So we'll go to menu, go on down to settings. Okay, once you're there, go ahead and go to, I believe it's been a while since I've changed this. I believe it's under radio set, and could be key function. Nope, don't think it's key function. Voice function, yeah, it's under voice function. So go to settings, radio set, and then voice function. Once you're there, key tone, that's what you're looking for. So go into this key tone, and that allows you to turn off and on the beep. That's going to be the same on the 578 mobile radio as well. So just go ahead and turn that off if you don't like it. Now, as for your second question, let's see if we can find an option for that. So if we go into settings again, radio set, and this time actually go to key function. Let's take like the PF1 for example, and see if we actually have the option for it. It may be possible to add it to a shortcut. So let's see, where am I at in the list here? Okay, we'll take a look. So off, okay. Looking for beep, and I don't know for sure what it's called, but it may be in here. just take a look here. Not seeing it so far. Yeah, so it looks like you probably can't program that into like a shortcut button, at least natively. What you may be able to do there, if you want to do it that way. Let's see. What you may be able to do if you actually want to use that function through a key on the front, you may be able to set up a hotkey. And CPS, you can do a lot with hotkeys. So it's possible to do it that way, potentially, but as for turning it on and off, you can totally do that. So hopefully that answers the question there. Let's see. Find another question here. Yep. Here we go. Here's a question. Did they actually put a code word in the blogs for the giveaway? I have spent a lot of time reading blogs and have not seen it. Yeah, so that's a great point. We actually have a giveaway going on right now, folks. Huge ham radio giveaway going on. It's called the Easter egg hunt, and the whole idea behind it is there's lots of different, Easter eggs, if you will, in different videos, in different pieces of content from over time. There's different, phrases. I know you'll have to look at the giveaway page to see how it works, but there's different parts of different videos and blog posts and different things. You can take that, if you find the phrase they're looking for, you can actually take that and put it in the giveaway page and get yourself even more entries. That's the whole point. It's not meant to be as easy as everyone goes and finds it. You can enter and you get your one entry, but if you want to participate in it and have a look for them, if you know the videos well, probably be real easy for you. But obviously we'll help you out, but we can't tell you right where they are. That's the whole point of it. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, here's a good question. Ed asks, what to do when Angry IP cannot find my pistar hotspot? Yeah, so if it's not on your network, you could have trouble there. So definitely make sure it's plugged into the network via like the Ethernet cable. Make sure your computer is on the same network, and you should definitely be able to find it. If Angry IP is not working, you could try just logging into your router. That's honestly what we typically did back when we worked with hotspots that needed that. Here's the great thing with the SkyBridge. There's no need for any of that. With the SkyBridge, if we take a look at the screen here, it will actually display its own IP address. So right up there, it displays the IP address. So you literally just type that in your computer and you can immediately log into the SkyBridge. So instead of spending time trying to find the IP address, logging into routers, Angry IP, everything like that, you can do it. And the other cool thing with the SkyBridge, you can pair it directly to your cell phone and log in from your cell phone. It hosts its own Wi-Fi network. So you can actually take your cell phone or another device, log into it, connect to its Wi-Fi, then configure it, tell it to connect to your cell phone, obviously log out, and then it will connect up to your cell phone. So you can do the whole entire configuration without even, a proper computer. So definitely some advantages there for getting the SkyBridge. But if you have a traditional hotspot, my advice to you will be log in through your router because it will show you everything on your network. Although Angry IP, I've never had bad luck with that either. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Here's a question. Dan asks, is it better to use a jetpack or tether to a cell phone for mobile hotspot use? Yeah, a great question. So that's a little bit like what we were just talking about. We've really either's fine. Cell phone's going to work fine. It uses very little bandwidth. So if you're worried about consuming your data plan, you don't really have to worry about that with the SkyBridge. I guess it's probably for that question, which is better, just going to be a matter of what has better reception in your area. If your cell phone has good reception, then you're going to be golden there. Here we go. Here's a question. Ralph asks, what information is needed to set up a plug-and-play for the 878 and 578? Yeah, great question. So for either and or both, we do a lot of plug and plays where folks actually get both done at the same time and save themselves that cost. We just do it for the price of one, basically, and we can set you up with that if you'd like. All we'll need from you is just your call sign, and then we will need to get you set up with a DMR ID and a Brandmeister account as well. Now, if you don't have one of them, we can help you with it. So give us a call, 816-532-8451. We'll walk you through the process of how to get them, or even help you get set up with them if you don't have them. Super easy. So really, if you have your license, you're good to go there. Let's see here. Some more questions rolling in. Here we go. Oops. Sam asks, what is the best way to log a DMR contact? The logging software and QSO cards do not have a field to record talk group, just frequency. Yeah, great question. So if you want to log your DMR contacts, I know as you get more into ham radio, you start to get into logging contacts and sending cards and stuff like that, which is awesome. You know, obviously log the frequency. If you want to put the talk group, usually there's some blank area you can write it on there. You know, just get creative. That's probably the best way I would say to do that. That is what I have done in the past. I have personally never probably done as well as I should on logging all of the DMR communication. I know in the HF world it's a little bit more standard. I think a lot of folks in DMR just get on to talk, but definitely worthwhile. But my advice would just be, if you want to record that talk group information, just write it on there in some blank space. Okay, here we go. Here's a question. See, Lester asks, I don't have a DMR yet, but I live about 45 miles from my DMR repeater, so would I need a hotspot? Great question. So if you're using a handheld radio, definitely, unless you have some a killer, you know, line of sight reception with a tower, you're probably not going to hit it with this radio. Now, or even 40, yeah, that would be tough. So definitely get yourself a hotspot set up. You'll have a lot of fun that way. Now, if you have a mobile radio and maybe you're going to use it as a base station and you do have a really good antenna set up, you could probably hit that. So it just depends on your area and what you want to do. But my advice to you will be get yourself to the SkyBridge, and that will allow you not only to access DMR, but you can play around with the other modes and you'll have full control over it. There's no control of what the repeater allows you to access, what talk groups they allow and what they don't. No way to get really kicked off the SkyBridge. It's your own device, so a lot more flexibility there. But another option, if you want to use that repeater, will be a mobile radio, some kind of base station rig, and that way you could actually communicate with that repeater. But thanks for the question. Awesome. Let's see here. Here we go. Here's a question. When I stop using scan program button, it doesn't lock the frequency I want, but skips ahead to another frequency in the scan list. Okay, let me try to understand what's going on here. Okay, so I assume what you're saying is when if it's scanning, it finds a frequency and you stop it, then it will continue on to another one. Hopefully, maybe you could clarify if I've got that wrong. Yeah, that's typically just how the scan feature works, from my understanding, unless you folks know of a different way. Generally, if there's activity, it will stop on the channel, so you'll know what channel that is at that point. If you want to just go monitor that channel, you could just go change to that channel. You can only have, I think, 52 channels or 50 channels in the scan list anyway, so it wouldn't be too hard to go find that again. That'd be my advice for it. That's how I personally use it, but hopefully that answers your question there. Okay, here we go. If you disable a zone via the CPS, how do you get that zone back via the 878 radio? Well, that's a good question. Maybe I don't fully know what you mean by disable a zone. I'm curious now. Let's take a look. I know you can add zones and remove them. I was unaware that you might be able to disable them. Let's take a look here. Okay, so we'll go into our zones. Okay, so there's a zone. Oh, hide zone. Okay, so you can hide a zone. What interesting. Well, let's do a little experiment here real quick. We'll find out. I've never messed around with that before. We'll see if it even will show up on the radio. Most likely, you may have to go back in the CPS and change it that way. That would be my best guess. But we'll find out. Yeah, let's read from the radio here real quick. Here we go, read all the data. And folks, if you have any questions about anything that we weren't able to cover here today, or you're interested in learning more about a plug-and-play package or a radio, you want to get on DMR for yourself and talk to folks all around the world, definitely give us a call, 816-532-8451. We'd be more than happy to help you. We got a lot of information we can provide for you, so whatever you need, we're here for you. Just want to get you on the air. Here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide one of these zones. Give this a shot here real quick. We'll go into here, hide zone. Okay, now let's write this back to the radio. There we go, and we'll see if it's possible to unhide that from the radio. Hopefully that I'm answering your question by doing this. What I'm guessing is we won't be able to, but we'll find out. There we go, right data complete. Awesome. Let's take a look here back on the radio. Let it boot back up. Awesome. There we have it. So we've got it booting up. We'll give that a second here. Okay. Radio's back on. So let's go into our zones. SkyBridge zone, local repeaters. So that zone is there. It does show up on our zones. Now, just out of curiosity, if we go back out here and we were to try to go to that zone, yeah, it doesn't appear, because if I went up, it's the last one, so it would show up there. It's not showing up, but if we go into our actual zones on the radio, it does, in fact, show up. So if we click on this, let's see if we can unhide it. Zone hide. It's turned on, turn that off. There you go. So you can totally do it from the radio. My assumptions were wrong. Awesome. There you go. So hopefully that answers your question. You can absolutely hide or unhide zones from the radio, even if you did it from the CPS initially. Awesome. Let's keep moving on here. Wow, we've got lots of questions coming in. Let's see. Here we go. Raymond asks, how does one program a Parrot or disconnect for direct RF repeaters? Here's an example. When the Parrot is time slot 1 and talk group 9998, I get no audio feedback. And it looks like an error on the control link page. Same for talk group 9990. Okay, let me fully understand this here. Let's see. So we have, okay, so we're trying to connect to a Parrot and a disconnect. Parrot is time slot 1. Well, typically the Parrot is 9990. That's the Parrot talk group, at least the one I'm familiar with. Let's see. Yeah, so if you have your local repeater, Obviously you want to make sure your frequencies and color code are correct. If they are, then when you add your channel with that talk group, select your talk group is talk group 9990. So let me switch over to the computer here. We'll go into a little bit more detail. We'll unhide that zone again. So if we go over to our channels, and I think I just did one for the local repeater, so we'll find it. Oops. There it is. Well, first let's take a look at our talk groups. Digital. Let's see. Contact/talk group, there we go. So if we look for 9990, oops, that must be the number of them. Got a lot of talk groups in here, so it can be challenging to find all of them. There we go. 9. Well, maybe. Well, either way, we'll create a new one here real quick. Got too many talk groups to find them. So we'll create a talk group. Let's say we want the Parrot. In this case, that's going to be a private call if you're on the Parrot. Most talk groups, you always want to have a group call. This is where you put the number in. So you actually, I assume you probably are just typing the number, but we wouldn't want to put letters in here, and in fact, it won't let us. So 9990, and then just click OK. That's all there is to the talk group. Obviously, this one already exists. Then go back out to your channel, and when you create your repeater channel, so I have my repeater channel here. Make sure your frequencies are right. Channel type, digital. Set your power, probably turbo if it's a repeater, depending on how close it is. DMR mode, make sure that is set to repeater right down here. If it's set to simplex, which often it is, it will not work. Over on this side, obviously you gotta have a radio ID and a call sign in your radio. You gotta have your radio ID or else you will not get through. Then your contact, that's going to be the talk group. So this section here, that is where you select the talk group. So if we want the Parrot, again, I have a lot of talk groups in here, so it's hard to find anything. One of the great reasons of that Ultra Code plug, it does all the setup for you. It takes so many hours to just go set up an entire code plug like that. But we have that in here already. Let's say we'll imagine that's the Parrot. And then obviously your color code, that's going to be the same for everything on that repeater. Should be anyway. And then the time slot, that may be different based on talk group. So you'll have to find out what time slot they're running for the Parrot. But typically they're the same. So you'll figure that out. And you may try both of them if there's no information on it. And that should get you through. Same thing for the disconnect, and same thing for just about every other talk group. Now, for more talk groups, if that's primarily the only repeater you use it with, you can create a new channel for each different talk group, similar to what we have here for the SkyBridge. Now, if you use it with a lot of repeaters, you may want to just leave one channel for each repeater and then manually select the talk group. It just depends what your primary use is on how you set that up, but hopefully that helps. Awesome, let's see. Here we go. Let's see, FYI, I use an old cell phone locally to watch the pistar login to help me remember call sign contacts. They scroll by too fast on my 878. Okay, I understand. Yeah, so the how fast, like if I'm assuming what you're talking about is when you're talking to someone and it shows the contact and then it disappears. I totally understand that. Sometimes I have trouble mentally recording the information that fast as well for brand new call signs. I believe there is a way you can change the display times on everything. We could take a look real quick in the menu, see if that is possible. I wouldn't mind changing that myself if it is. Let's take a look here. Go into optional settings and display. Let's see, there are a lot of different last caller. There may not be a time for that. Menu exit time. Generally we want that maxed out, but that won't help you there. Okay, yeah, there may not be a setting for that particular one, but you can change a lot of them. But I hear you there, definitely. Sometimes that can be a little bit quick. But it is really neat that it does it, you know, that's pretty cool. Not long ago there was no displaying the call sign on the radio, so it's awesome nonetheless. Okay, take a look at some more questions here. Here we go. Here's a question. If you're carrying the handheld, can you adjust the squelch on the fly? Absolutely. You can totally adjust the squelch. Let me see if I can remember how to do that real quick. We'll take a look here. So we've got our radio. So we'll see if we can change that squelch real quick. So we're going to go to menu. Apologize, the mouse was clicking things. Awesome, we'll go to menu and then go down to settings, channel set. Let me see here, let's see, yeah, I think it's under channel set. We'll see if we can change the squelch there. I guess in this, I'm assuming you're referring to analog squelch, so let's go ahead and change this over to an analog channel real quick. So we'll just do a VF, see if we can change over to VFO mode. Oops. Channel type, analog. There we have it. Now we should have some squelch options now. There we go. So there's your tones if you want to set your tones there. And then down here, squelch mode, there's your squelch mode. And that should give you the options there. I'm assuming you're talking about just traditional analog squelch. There is a way to get to it. See if I can remember this off the top of my head here. So if we go into squelch mode, let's see. Yeah, maybe one of these settings allow you to. Yeah, I don't think so. Should be set there. Unless it's in another menu. We'll take a look here real quick. What if we go into radio set and maybe voice function? Take a look in here. Yeah, I apologize, folks. I don't remember where this is. Maybe if any of you guys know in the comments, we can help this gentleman out here real quick. I use it all the time, but I do not remember where it is off the top of my head. There you go, analog squelch level. It's under the other function. My personal radio is still on an old firmware. I need to update it. The menu's a little bit different. There we go. Okay, so you go into radio settings, radio set, other function, and then at that point you can go down to your analog squelch level right there and just go ahead and change that. There's probably a way to set that up as a shortcut as well. So you could just do a key function and then set that up so you can change it on the fly. Awesome. Hopefully that helps. Let me see if we can find another question here. switch back over. There we go. Awesome. Here we go. Here's a question. Okay, just what is a color code? Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of folks are not familiar with color codes. I'm not even 100% familiar on the technical side of how they work. From a user perspective, programming it into the radio, it's going to do a very similar thing to like a PL tone. If you're familiar with, entering a tone into your radio, color code kind of does the same thing on the user perspective. I know the technical side of it's a little bit different, but from a usability perspective, that's how I like to think about them. But yeah, thanks for the question. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Brian asks, how do you program the 878 for a repeater and a hotspot? Yeah, great question. We actually have a lot of videos that cover just that, how to cover just that, programming your radio for a hotspot or a repeater and or both. So definitely check those out in the Bridgecom University. A lot of content there. Be a little bit too much to cover just on one question here, the entire process, because that would probably take our whole time. But it's really quite easy. You can easily program it for a repeater. We went through a little bit of that today, kind of showed you the process. And then the hotspot is very similar. So definitely, you can do it. Definitely go check out some of those videos. We'd love to help you with it. And if you run into trouble, give us a call, 816-532-8451, and we're here for you. Okay, let's see. Oops. Find another question here. Doug asks, let's see, KO4NFA, is there a way to display the channel name and the frequency on the Anytone 878 UV2+? Great question. There may be a way to display both. I have not personally found that. You can do either or. A lot of folks, the radios actually come set to display just the frequency, unless you buy a plug and play, which we change it for you. But generally, the first thing you want to do is change that over to display the channel, because the frequency, especially in the world of hotspots, it's probably all going to be the same, so you'd be lost trying to find the right talk group. Now, what you can do, this is what I do on my personal radio, is actually make a shortcut button on the radio to change that from frequency to channel. That way, if I'm out and I know the channel, but it's like, man, what was the frequency for that? I can click a button, immediately see it, and then change it back. That way you have your organization and you can see your channels. We can dive in here real quick, show you that real fast. Let's see here, oops, get the comment off the screen. So here we go. Take a look at it here. So let me think. So we're looking for, where would that be? Okay, so we'll go to settings and go to radio set. And I believe you want, yeah, go to key function. Let's just, for the sake of it, do this PF1 short. So we have that on digital monitor right now. Now let's see, sub-channel hide. So you can also hide your sub-channel. I typically get rid of my sub-channel. Not a huge fan of having that showing, but you can set up a shortcut if you sometimes like having it. We'll find it here. It's probably near the start. Yep, oh, I think this channel name, there you go. So ch.name, that's the one you want. There we go, so we have that selected as a shortcut. So now when we are out here and press this PF1 button, that's going to change that over to the frequency. So now you can see the frequency. Okay, great, I know what channel 34 now is, and then change back over, or whatever your situation is. So that is how I personally roll when it comes to the channel options there. So hopefully that helps you. I definitely recommend, if you're just using it for DMR, probably no point. But if if you're using it for other things, like I like to monitor a lot of railroad stuff, so it's perfect. I can have all my channels, but if I want to put it in a different radio, in a scanner or something like that, it's like, what was that channel? Click the button, you see it, there you go, you're good. So awesome, hope that helps. Excuse me. Okay. Oops. Find another question here. Yeah, here's a good question. Let's see, I believe Gary asked, can you scan talk groups in a zone without setting up a scan list? Yeah, good question. Unfortunately, you will have to set up a scan list. It's pretty easy. It won't be hard for you, but you will have to set up a scan list if you want to scan, scan through things, unfortunately. But pretty simple. We have a video that shows you how, so just go check that out. I'm going to add one thing to that. Since we just showed a shortcut, you definitely, and I think it covers that in the video, can set up a shortcut button for the scan function. So once you have scan list set up, you can go to them and easily turn off and on scanning. That way it's super easy to do so. Like I usually just have the weather channels selected for my scan list, because that's, for personally, about all I use the scan function for on this radio. I can just press a button, turn on scan, start scanning them. I can press the button again, turns it off. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. Here's a question. Joe, K5ROP, can the SkyBridge connect to a fusion reflector? We just had a presentation on W3AMG linked repeaters in Louisiana at our club, and it is fusion/wires X based, and not sure if it would work. So you can actually, the SkyBridge, you can connect it to a fusion reflector. It may not work with the full-on like wires X, but traditional system fusion, absolutely. And the cool part is you can actually use it with your Anytone radio. So you can connect over via your Anytone DMR radio. So you don't even necessarily need the fusion radio, which is awesome. But if you have one, it works fine for that too. So totally. Okay, awesome. So we're almost up here on time. We're going to take one or two more questions and call it quits. But yeah, great stream, folks. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully we're able to help you. We'll do a couple more questions here, but that's what it's all about. I love helping you folks. So if there's anything we can do for you, come by on Thursdays. Unfortunately, I apologize, we couldn't have one last week. We were at a big trade show for commercial radio out in Vegas. So we were standing up on the floor all day. We weren't able to get to the stream, but we're back in the studio now and can make more videos. Let's see. Oh, here's a question. Joe asks, do you scan all 98 railroad frequencies, add lists together? Yeah, so really for scanning, it's not the greatest scanner in terms of large lists. Typically, I'm very familiar with my area. I know what channels are where, so I usually just put the radio on the channel I'm out by. If I'm out by, a certain area, I just punch in that channel. That's how I tend to use it. Now, if you're not familiar, what you can do, and I did do this, is just make two channels or two zones, two scan lists, one of 50 channels, the other of 49 or whatever it is. So you can totally do that, but just keep in mind, the scan is not super fast. It's a ham radio, not a scanner. So if you're wanting to scan, super quick, this is not going to be the best option for you there. But awesome little radio. I still tend to use it more than my scanner, because I'm familiar with my area, because it's so easy to pull out. It works well, gives you all that information. So I really like it. Awesome. Let's see here. Find another question. Here we go. Bob asks, what is the workflow to change modes in the SkyBridge DMR to D-Star when SB is connected to Wi-Fi from my phone? Okay. Yeah, so if the SkyBridge is connected to your phone Wi-Fi, then what you'll actually want to do is go into the Wi-Fi settings on your phone and then change that from either not connected to something or connected to your home Wi-Fi network. Connect it to the hotspot will host a network called pistar. You may have to, in order to make it through this, you may actually have to turn off the Sky or your cell phone's hotspot so it doesn't connect to anything. But then you'll connect to the Wi-Fi network called pistar with your cell phone. And then at that point, it will actually prompt you to open up a web browser, which it will do. And you'll actually be able to log in just like you were on a computer. Then at that point, you can do all the customization you want, turn on D-Star if that's what you want to do, and then, or DMR to D-Star, whatever that option is you want to change. Then after that, click Configure Changes, go ahead and turn your hotspot back on. You may want to have to pull up that hotspot window again just to get that initial connection, power on the SkyBridge, and you'll be rocking and rolling. We can demonstrate that in another video as well. So awesome, there we have it. Hopefully we got a lot of questions answered today. Thank you all for attending and joining. If you know anyone who needs help with radio or DMR or just getting on the air in the first place, we would love to help them. So if you have questions, give us a call. We're here for you, 816-532-8451. And don't forget to sign up for that Easter egg hunt giveaway. There are some Easter eggs out there. I know some folks have been going nuts trying to find all the different Easter eggs. It's a lot of fun. Keep in mind, you are entered, so even if you don't find all the Easter eggs, you're still entered to win. So keep that in mind. Don't fret about it, but definitely participate if you like. It's a lot of fun. So that's all for now. I'm Cody, W3AMG 73.